Does learning kanji feel like an impossible task? You are not alone. With literally thousands of characters and multiple meanings, it can be overwhelming. But what if I told you there's a step-by-step learning method that makes learning kanji manageable but also fun? In this video, I'll show you how to master kanji as a beginner, including my own favorite tool that's been a complete game changer for me. Let's dive in. I feel like growing up and learning Japanese, learning kanji was definitely an integral part of our learning process. I feel like even as an adult, there's still so much kanji that I don't even know yet. And honestly, it can be overwhelming because, especially as a beginner who doesn't know a single thing about Japanese, you don't know where to start. But once I discovered certain learning strategies that made the process a little bit more easy and simpler, that's when learning kanji felt a little less overwhelming. Whether you're in the process of passing the JLPT exam, or learning to read manga, or learning to watch anime without subtitles, whatever your goal is, I hope that this guide will help simplify the kanji learning experience for you. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Emmy. I was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan, and on this channel, I try to bring the authentic side of Japan from a unique native perspective. So step number one, if you don't already know, is to understand what kanji is. So what exactly is kanji? Simply put, kanji is a set of symbolic characters used to represent words, sounds, or concepts in Japanese. And it's important to note that kanji is derived from the Chinese language. Now, why would you even want to learn kanji? And why is it important to learn kanji? Kanji is essential for fluency in reading and writing in Japanese. Whether you like it or not, you'll find kanji in everyday life. Signs, menus, books, maps, like literally anything and more. But I guess the number one challenge with learning kanji is the fact that there are just thousands of kanji characters. But not only that, almost every kanji has different meanings as well as different readings based on the concept, which I will get into later. Step number two, I say start with radicals. So what does this mean exactly? Simply put, radicals are the building blocks of kanji. Virtually all kanji characters are either a single radical or two radicals or more. By memorizing kanji as a combination of parts rather than a single unique character, you're able to simplify the learning process by tenfold. So an example of a radical is ki, which is tree. And this kanji ki is a radical in the kanji mori, which is forest. So you'll notice that mori is made up of 3 ki radicals. Now, why do radicals matter? Radicals not only simplify complex kanji, but it helps you recognize patterns and certain meanings as well. So let's say you see a very complex looking kanji. If you can sort of decipher the radicals that are included in the kanji character, you can sort of have a picture or an idea of what the kanji means. Now, how do you start learning radicals? I'd say focus on the most common ones first and the most simple ones. 2 examples that I can think of are hi, which could indicate sun as well as day, and hito, which means person. To learn radicals, I would suggest creating or using pre-made flashcards. On one side, write the radical, and on the other side, include its meaning and kanji example that uses it. Now, if you're a visual learner like I am, this is also what I used growing up as a kid, but use visual mnemonics to learn radicals. Sometimes it might be helpful to associate a radical with a visual to make it more memorable. Let's talk about one of the most effective ways to learn kanji, and that is to learn kanji with vocabulary. Now, I think one of the most ineffective ways to learn kanji is to simply learn it in isolation. This can not only be very confusing, but especially hard to retain. But when you start to learn kanji as part of a phrase or as part of a word, everything sort of starts to make sense. So why is learning kanji with vocabulary so helpful? First, it helps you avoid confusion. Kanji almost always has multiple readings. One is known as onyomi, which is the Chinese reading, and the other is kunyomi, which is the Japanese reading. And these different readings also have different meanings as well. Seeing kanji in the context of vocabulary clarifies how they're used in specific situations. Let's take this kanji as an example. Depending on the word, it can be read and understood differently. In this word sensei, which means teacher, this kanji is read as se, which is the onyomi. However, in the word namabiru, which means draft beer, the kanji is read as nama, which is the kunyomi of the kanji. Nama means raw or unprocessed. By learning this kanji, which can be read as nama or se, you not only understand its readings, but as well as its meanings depending on the context, which honestly makes it a lot easier to remember. The second reason why learning kanji with vocabulary is so helpful is because it helps you build context. Vocabulary shows how kanji can fit into regular sentences and everyday usage. This makes your learning more practical and natural. Take this kanji for example, which can mean sun or day. When you study this this kanji through vocabulary, you see how it is used in different words. In this word Nihon, which means Japan, this kanji takes on the meaning of origin or sun. In the word Nichiyobi, meaning Sunday, the kanji refers to a specific day of the week. This type of context makes kanji feel less abstract and more connected to real-life communication. Now, the third reason why learning kanji with vocabulary is really helpful is because, honestly, it just makes it easier to remember. Associating a kanji with a meaningful word or phrase gives you something tangible to recall, rather than just memorizing the character in isolation. For example, when you think of Nihon, you're likely to recall the kanji for sun and origin because of their association with Japan. So how do you get started with this approach? Number one is to focus on high-frequency vocabulary. Start with the most common words and kanji that you'll encounter, like those in the JLPT N5. These are foundational and often appear in daily life. Again, flashcards with visuals as well as sample sentences can be very helpful with this as well. Tip number 3 is to actually practice writing it. When you write the kanji with its vocabulary, you reinforce the connection between its character, its meaning, and how it's used in context. I think it's important to note that by learning kanji with vocabulary, you're not just simply memorizing characters. You're learning how to use them in real-life situations. Now, this method not only improves your understanding, but as well as your confidence in reading and writing. Now, if you're still with me and this sounds very overwhelming, just wait. Now, learning kanji can feel like a huge challenge, but the right tools make all the difference. Now, one app that has completely transformed how I study kanji is MochiKanji. It's an interactive tool specifically designed for vocabulary and kanji learning, and it's perfect for beginners as well as anyone honestly trying to improve their Japanese. Let me show you why it's so effective and how you can use it to boost your learning as well. One of MochiKanji's most powerful features is golden time, which is based on spaced repetition and its special algorithm. If you've never heard of spaced repetition before, it's essentially a scientifically proven learning method that helps you retain information for the long term. Instead of cramming all of this kanji at once, the app reminds you to review the kanji at the exact intervals when you're most likely to forget. This way, your brain strengthens the memory every time you revisit it, making the learning process a lot more efficient and way less overwhelming. And honestly, the reminders are really helpful because, let's face it, it's honestly so exhausting trying to remind ourselves on when to review kanji. Think of it like this. Rather than forgetting everything that you learned last week, you'll get quick reminders to revisit the materials so that it sticks in your long-term memory. Now, MochiKanji applies this spaced repetition method to ensure that you're always staying on top of your progress. Now, the app's golden time notifications are such a helpful feature. These reminders pop up at just the right moment, when your brain is about to forget what you've learned, prompting you to review. The MochiKanji app also has an amazing flashcard system, and it's honestly one of my favorite features. Each card is packed with everything you really need to understand a kanji. You get visual aids that help you associate a kanji with its meaning, native audio so that you can hear how it's pronounced correctly, as well as sample sentences to see how the kanji fits in everyday language. For example, when I was learning the kanji hi, which means sun or day, I didn't just memorize the character. I saw it used in real words like Nihon or Nichiyobi, like I mentioned earlier. Seeing it in context like this made it so much easier to understand as well as remember its different meanings and readings. Now, after you've studied your new kanji, MochiKanji has quizzes to test your understanding. Now, don't be scared. These quizzes are short, but yes, they are effective, helping you lock in what you've just learned. One of my other favorite features is the progress tracking system. Now, what does this entail? All the kanji you learn are organized into 5 levels of memorization. From level 1, which are newly learned words, to level 5, fully memorized. As you move up the levels, the app spaces out your reviews so that you focus more on new material while still reinforcing what you have already mastered. This structure makes it super easy to see how far you've come, but also makes you motivated to continue. Plus, the app also has a thing called a digital notebook where all of your learned kanji is stored. It's a really great way to revisit words at your own pace, especially if there's a kanji you particularly find tricky. Another unique feature of the MochiKanji app is the kanji writing practice. MochiKanji actually guides you through the stroke of each kanji, showing you step by step how to write it properly. Learning the stroke order and writing kanji isn't necessarily about writing it neatly, although it can be about that. It's actually an important part in memorizing the characters because it engages both your motor skills and memory. I have found this practice especially important for remembering complex kanji with multiple strokes. And the best part, MochiKanji is completely free to download. You can find it on the App Store, Google Play, or on their website. Whether you are a complete beginner starting with JLPT N5 kanji or you're tackling more advanced levels, this app has courses tailored to every skill level. For me, honestly, learning kanji is something that I used to find so tedious, but MochiKanji has made a huge difference with me in staying consistent with my studies. Its cute and interactive features makes learning so much more fun, and the spaced repetition system has been a life changer in helping me retain what I learned. If you are serious about learning kanji, I highly recommend giving MochiKanji a try. I've included the download links in the description below, so make sure to check it out. Let me know how it works for you. I would love to hear what you guys think. When you're starting out with kanji, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of characters there are. That is why I recommend focusing on high frequency kanji first, the ones you'll encounter the most in daily life, which is step number 4. Now, some of the most practical kanji to start off with are nichi, which means sun and day, hong, which means book or origin, as well as gaku, which means to study. These kanji can honestly pop up anywhere, from conversations, signs that you'll see in public, as well as books. You'll see hi in the days of the week, like getsuyobi, kayobi, suyobi. Similarly, gaku appears in gakse, which means student. By focusing on high frequency kanji like these, you'll start recognizing them quickly in real life situations, which will boost your confidence early on. Again, for learning these high frequency kanjis, I'd say number 1 tip is to learn in context and pair each character with vocabulary that actually uses it. This way you're not just learning the kanji or characters in isolation, and you're actually seeing how it's used in daily life. Essentially, you want to be able to gain a deep understanding of its meaning as well as its usage. Again, MochiKanji is a fantastic tool to help you learn kanji in its context as well as vocabulary in context. Now, step number 5 is to practice writing and recognition. Learning to write kanji is probably just as important as learning to recognize it. Actually, writing the kanji helps you solidify the character in your memory and teaches you the correct stroke order, which is essential for neatness and readability. Now, one thing that I used a lot growing up learning kanji is using grids or tracing sheets to help you with your accuracy. Even 10 minutes doing this in a day can help make a significant difference in your writing abilities. Next is recognition practice. So what does this mean? You want to get better at recognizing kanji in real life context. So in order to do this, I say start reading simple materials like children's books, menus, or even product packaging. These often use basic kanji, which is essentially great for beginners. You can also use flashcards or apps to help you review. Apps like MochiKanji are especially helpful because they combine kanji practice with spaced repetition, ensuring that you review characters at the right intervals to make sure you retain them properly. Now, lastly, remember that consistency is key. And I say set small, achievable, and measurable goals for yourself. Instead of just saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn kanji, make measurable goals such as learning 5 new kanjis every single day or reviewing 10 that you have already studied. This way, you're able to keep yourself accountable, and over time, these small steps will add up to your progress and you'll see how far you've come. Another tip from me is to always review past kanji while also learning new ones. Revisiting what you've learned keeps it fresh in your memory and helps you build a strong foundation for more advanced characters. Now, learning kanji is definitely a journey. It's not something that you can just instantly learn overnight. But remember, every single kanji that you learn, you become one step closer to better fluency. Celebrate the small wins, whether it's recognizing a character on a sign or remembering how to write a new kanji without having to look it up. The most important thing is to stay consistent. Even 10 or 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time. Don't stress about perfection. What matters is that you are showing up and making progress. Again, if you're on the lookout for a tool to help you stay on track, I definitely highly recommend the MochiKanji app. It's been a game changer for me in my daily practice, and I'm sure you will find it just as helpful. I've included the download links in the description below, so make sure to check it out and let me know what you think. Now, before I end this video, I would love to hear your kanji learning goals. Have you found any strategies that work particularly well for you? If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video inspired you to dive into kanji learning with confidence. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!